Let us stay in Africa and build Africa.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the channel. And for those that are coming across this channel for the very first time, welcome as well. So, in today's video, we want to talk about building Africa. Why? Because Africa belongs to Africans, and Africa is our business, and nobody else is going to build Africa but the black person, but the African themselves. If we don't think about it, then nobody else is going to really think about it. I want us to talk about this because it is very crucial. It is important. Building Africa is building ourselves. Building Africa today is ensuring, that in the years to come and for the future generations of African children, they will have a good place, a good place to call their home. And I just want to say this, that nobody, when I say nobody, is I'm talking about the West and even the East. Nobody is really here that really wants Africa built, Africa developed. They don't want um, Africa developed. They want Africa as impoverished as it is. They want to ensure the West and the East will always want to have Africa where it is. Because if Africa is not impoverished, then they are going to lose big time. I'm going to share a video here by one Dr. Omar, and we are going to find out that why do I say that the West and even the East recently want to have Africa impoverished. Let's watch this video by Dr. Omar, and then we can come back and continue with this. So let's fast forward the video.
So then when the Chinese start showing up in Africa with these loans, the black man said, well, white man didn't work. Let's work with the yellow man. Now, the reason China is so thirsty for Africa is because whoever controls Africa controls the world. Because most of the minerals necessary for a technologically sophisticated society and for a militaristically dominant society, those minerals come from Africa.
Yeah.
So if you want to be the biggest economy, you got to control the resources of the continent. If you want to be the strongest military, you got to control the resources of the continent. Number one. Number two, I have a surplus of cheap goods. Even though I run the market on cheap goods, I got a surplus of cheap goods. Where can I go and sell these cheap materials and turn a profit? What better place than Africa? And then on top of that, I need some sort of control over the resources of the land in order to make myself a global power. That's Africa. Same thing with the Caribbean islands. All this the Chinese is doing, none of it is being done as a handout. It's all loans with conditions. And the Chinese are creating conditions that they know you can't fulfill because ultimately they want the whole country.
Yeah.
But here's the issue I got with Jamaica, I got with Africa, I got it with all the black countries when it comes to China. Why are you hiring Chinese engineers to come build your roads, build your buildings, create your infrastructure if you have an engineering program?
Good. Nobody is here is shaking Africa's hand for free. Everybody is scrambling to shake Africa's hand for a benefit. They know that to control the world, you have to control the resources, and the resources are found in Africa. Africa has basically everything that they need to control the system. We have the natural resources. We have human resource. We just have everything, and that is exactly what is needed for any superpower to rule. So that is just saying in other words or indirectly that Africa is a superpower that has never realized its position, and this is a very systematic planned poverty to Africans. Africa is extremely rich, but the people of Africa are poor, because it is a system. It is planned. Everything is planned against them. Everything, I'm telling you. Even the syllabus and the curricula of the schools that they teach in economics and whatever you call them, they make sure that whatever they teach is always destined to make Africa, to keep Africa where it is. Because if Africa doesn't stay there, then their own existence as first world, they call themselves as first world, is in trouble, The financial institution, the economic structures are all made sure that they are against the development of Africa. They do not want Africa industrialized. Nobody should lie to you that those loans and handouts and everything are because they want to see an improved and industrialized Africa. No, they don't. No, they do not want. It's time that we, as the Africans and the black person, even those that are outside Africa, because even if you're a black person in the Caribbean, in America, in Europe, this, I personally believe, this is your home. They want you impoverished knowledge-wise. They want you, they do not want you to assume power, because once you have power, then they lose their power. Have you seen those interest rates that those multilateral, multinational, the IMF and World Bank, the interest rates they impose on the loans they advance to African countries? Ironical and ridiculous, because that is a system. The IMF and the so-called World Bank, those are enemies of Africa. Africa must wake up and realize who the enemy is, and know that the enemy is attacking from the east and from the west, and nobody is here. And we have to understand one thing as Africans, that we need to amass knowledge and courage at the same time. And it's not going to be easy. The West is going to do anything within its power to try and keep Africa, at its place, at its current place. Anything. It doesn't matter. Whatever it takes, at whatever cost, they are ready to make sure that you stay right there. Because if you don't, their sheer existence, it is dependent on the failure of the black person, on the failure of Africa. I'm sharing another short video by Professor PLO LUMUMBA, and so let's watch it together. So here is the video.
Let us stay in Africa and build Africa. What does Africa lack in terms of resources? What do we lack? If it is solar energy, which continent is capable of producing solar energy to light this continent and the entire earth? If it is hydroelectricity, what can we not generate? If it is minerals, if we wanted to make bombs, if we should, where do they get their uranium from? If it is timber, what don't we have? If it is human resources, we are 2 billion of us, and we are people who have intelligence, and yet we are kept in a constant state of conflict. The Europeans, the French, persuading their former colonies that they are more French than they are Yoruba. They are more French than they are Wolofs and Mandinkas. The British persuading us that we are more British than we are Ibibio or Yoruba. And of course, when we find ourselves in that schizophrenic state, then we engage in internal conflict and they sell their arms to us. Tell me, which African country makes guns? None.
That is Africa. Let nobody lie to you that Africa lacks anything. Africa has intellect. Africa has the best manpower. Africa has the youngest manpower. Africa has all the natural and human resource. But Africa is still the most impoverished because it has been set. The system, the current system, has always been set to stand to put Africa, to keep Africa where it is. It's now time, and this is my problem with Africa and the Caribbean and the black people. We have a problem with our governance. We have our leaders running all over, going to China with their pot bellies and empty wallets and going to borrow monies that we don't even know. They come and embezzle. We don't even know where the money goes, who ends up, other than the those guys that go to borrow and their families. We never see anything that happens. They run to the World Bank, to the IMF, and all those other countries, and they go and borrow money. And in terms of loans, those ridiculous loans. Time to stand against these people and call them and speak. Speak out, and in fact send them home. Because the West and the East are taking Africa for a ride, and it's just not fair, and it's not right. We cannot stay. It cannot continue like this. I love the awakening that's now going on, the shift in terms of consciousness by the young African people, and generally African and black people, be they in Africa or those that found themselves in the Caribbean, in Europe, in Africa, and even in Asia and every other part of the world. So let's have this discussion. Please share your comments about this, your opinion, your thoughts, and like this video, share this video. And most importantly, if you haven't, subscribe to this channel for more. Until next time, see you in the next video.